The Rock Johnson owns enough cars to make his own Fast and Furious movie, and his gym has some of the weirdest equipment I've ever seen. These are stupidly expensive things The Rock owns. And even his diet breaks the bank, because The Rock defilts 4 times more food than you do. Every year, he eats 261 pounds of potatoes, 348 pounds of oatmeal, and 1,100 pounds of fish. And since he started this Greek god diet 10 years ago, he spent over $150,000 just on food, or literally eats more in a year than a North Korean kid will in their entire lifetime. But I bet that North Korean kid eats more candy than The Rock, because he claims he hasn't eaten candy since 1989 until he finally broke his streak in 2016. But his diet isn't the only thing maintaining his physique, because his home gym, the Iron Paradise, has better equipment than any other gym. But he doesn't call it the Iron Paradise for nothing. This industrial-sized gym only has gear made for elite athletes, from luxurious workout brands to dumbbells that go up to 150 pounds and machines that could only be found at an NFL stadium. The Rock makes sure all the $300,000 worth of equipment is used every day. He's actually so dedicated, he can't even leave to go to the bathroom. Oh, and if he has to travel somewhere, no problem. He has a team of people to transport all 40,000 pounds to his destination. That means he pays about $210,000 every time they move it. And The Rock makes sure his moving gym is never late. I mean, he has enough watches for every time zone in the world, and his Breitling Super Ocean Heritage chronograph cost him $8.3 grand alone. You know you're rich when you call your watch a chronograph, but he rarely buys one-off editions, because he collects collections of watches. He owns a $15,800 collection of Tag Heuer, a $53,000 collection of Raleighs, and 4 IWC watches coming up to $76,000. But his biggest watch stockpile of all is from Panerai. He owns so many, even his alter ego wears them. And after he dropped $84,800 at Panerai, The Rock upped his game again. Because this Audemars Royal Oak frosted gold chronograph cost him $328,000. That's more than every other watch mentioned combined, making his full inventory worth $560,000. But he's not completely self-centered, because since he was a kid, The Rock has always been a man of the people. At 11 years old, he saw his dad grant the first ever wish for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And since then, The Rock has granted 21 kids wishes just to meet him. But he wanted to give more than just a wish. So he dropped $100,000 on top of it. And with Disney movies on his resume, it's clear The Rock loves kids more than BBL Drizzy. He's even donated $1 million to Children's Miracle Network and another $1 million to Nicholas Children's Health System. And The Rock also couldn't forget the school where all of his success started. So he dropped $2 million for an alumni center at his college. If his student loans weren't paid off, they sure as hell are now. And you know what else is paid off? The millions of dollars worth of supercars he's got. Since he has so many, Ford even let him unveil his 2018 Mustang to the world. But The Rock didn't want to own it himself. So he gifted that $50,000 car to a combat veteran. And it's not the only time he gave a car away. When The Rock was homeless as a teenager, this guy Bruno gave him a place to live. So to pay him back, The Rock gifted Bruno a Ford F-150. The Rock's gotta be one of the nicest guys alive, man. But this mean Plymouth Prowler says otherwise, 'cause he took it from the set of Pain and Gain for $39,000, and he loved that criminal lifestyle so much, he got himself the ultimate cartel mobile, a 76 grand Cadillac Escalade. But that 5,000-pound SUV was too small for him, so he copped a massive 6,500-pound Ford Hennessy Velociraptor. This $150,000 monster could deliver the smackdown to any wrestler. And he's got an insane paint job, too. Smurf blue? Well, at least his Lamborghini Aventador isn't as embarrassing as that. With a top speed of 217 miles per hour and a 0 to 60 of 2.9 seconds, it's one of the fastest cars in the world, and he spent a small $216,000 on it. But with a car that fast, he had to have some class to match those crazy IWC watches. And the Rolls-Royce Wraith is the pinnacle of class. Even with his undersized suits, The Rock still looks fresh as hell coming out of this Bond car with 300 bands. And he must have got addicted to classy rides, because he bought a McLaren 650S for $309,000 and another Rolls-Royce. Except this one is a Cullinan. If he's ever feeling charitable again, maybe he could share that second Rolls around, because it cost him $330,000. But after the Rolls, The Rock stopped messing around with thousands and stepped into spending millions. Like The Rock's LaFerrari, the company's highest performing car. I mean, they put a goddamn F1 engine inside this thing. With a top speed of 218 miles per hour, this whip could probably race the Flash. But the price for superhuman speed is joke, because this thing cost him $1.14 million, and it's still no competition for The Rock's P1 McLaren. It makes his 650S look like a Camry, and this hypercar is rare. So rare that every single car is one of a kind. No two were ever made the same. And The Rock loves to stand out, so he dropped a bag of $1.15 million for it. Now hypercars, supercars, and luxury whips may be cool, but get ready for the most insane car yet, a car most people only dream of. The 2017 Ford GT? Don't let this simple muscle car fool you though. Even though he purchased it for a cheap $450,000, it's worth over $1.2 million now. But $1.2 million is nothing when compared to the holy grail of his garages. The Pagani Huayra. This is the Jesus Christ of cars. By far the fastest car he owns, at 238 miles per hour. By far the rarest, as it's 1 of 100. And by far the most expensive car he owns, at $2.55 million. And the Pagani brings his total garage value to an insane net worth of $6.1 million. It's the perfect automobile. Well, almost perfect. The Rock had him modded a bit so he could actually fit inside. But he still looks like a straight-up baller in this thing. And if anyone knows how to ball out, it's The Rock, because he even bought his own football league. Since the NFL dominates the fall season for football, The Rock brought back spring football to compete. The main spring football league was the XFL. But after COVID, they had to declare bankruptcy, leaving to The Rock to come in at the last second and absolutely pour money into the failed company. Cause he bought the XFL for $15 million and single-handedly saved spring football. And with plans to get the team count from 8 to 16 by 2026, The Rock could be a legit competitor to the NFL. You gotta hand it to him. He went from an absolute meme in a turtleneck to competing with world-famous sports. But one sport he could never compete with is the WWE, because they literally own The Rock. Up until their most recent deal, The Rock didn't even own his own name. But since The Rock wanted to make a return to the ring as a wrestler, he had some leverage to make the WWE transfer ownership of the name. And finally, he secured that deal for $30 million, which basically makes the name The Rock worth $30 million. This dude's name alone is worth more than Taylor Swift's house. But he doesn't trip when it comes to real estate either. As the richest actor in Hollywood, he has some of the craziest cribs out there. And his mansion in Miami is basically a private resort. It even has its own movie theater so it can premiere as big as Flops, with 6 beds and baths, a gym, a garden, and pool. This thing comes in at a crazy $3.4 million. But before he bought out more land, he figured he should give back to his family. So he got his mom an even bigger house. This 4,400 square foot mansion in Encino has 6 bedrooms and 4.5 baths, and he even personalized it for his mom's taste. She has her very own ukulele display room, a SmackDown theme room to show off her son's success, a private chef, and a room just for breakfast. I hope she knows how much The Rock loves her, because he dropped $3.8 million for this place. But it's nothing compared to the castle he owns in Georgia. This 14,000 square foot mansion has a library, wine room, stone fireplaces, a saltwater pool, and a real T-Rex skull. For some reason, it even has a horse riding arena for him and his daughters. But this $9.5 million home still doesn't have as much room as he'd like. So he bought a 7-bedroom, 7-bathroom mansion in Virginia, too. Most little girls just pray for a pony. But The Rock actually answered his daughter's prayers. Because this place has horses, stables, and the entire countryside for them to ride in. This $12 million mansion even came with a massive pool for The Rock to enjoy his afternoons. But of course, his most insane mansion lands in celebrity paradise, Beverly Hills. This Mediterranean-style home is built for athletes like Dwayne Johnson. He's even got a golf course, a tennis court, a pool, and a gym to make sure his kids try every sport. The Rock has to be the most annoying, almost made it pro dad ever. But he still knows other hobbies exist, so he added a music studio and another movie theater. Hopefully he's self-aware enough to stick to Fast and Furious, which I'm sure he knows, because he's the biggest actor in the world. And what else would the biggest actor need? Well, the biggest private jet, of course. This thing is fit for a king. It has private chefs, fully reclining seats, a private suite, and a 55-inch 4K TV. The most insane part, though, is their anti-jet lag system. At night, the lights and sounds inside the plane are fine-tuned to adjust to your sleep schedule. And the price of no jet lag? A small $73 million. I guess I'll just have to suffer and coach the rest of my life like a normal person. Thanks for watching.